Joined now by John Gilooly, longtime high school sports writer at the Providence Journal. You had the big story today in the Sunday paper. Football realignment, here we are. Much hubbub about it, and it's come to fruition. Big takeaways, there are now 3 divisions. Division 1 has expanded, 4 teams in all. 14 teams, 2 subdivisions. There'll still be 4 Super Bowls. What is your biggest takeaway, synopsis-wise, from this realignment?
Well, Yanni, what I'd say is definitely what they've done is they've tried to create a situation where the Division I teams don't have to play both Henrican and LaSalle in the regular season. That I think has been one of the big complaints of the teams that have been in one. The way they've got it set up with the 2 subdivisions, 7 teams each, you only play either Henrican or LaSalle during the regular season. And that's obviously what the whole thing was probably kind of geared on how do we handle the Henrican LaSalle situation. So
pretty much these 2 juggernauts, these private schools, are kind of dictating the whole D1 setup, and then it's kind of funneled down because now we only have 3 divisions. Was there a different way to maybe have Henrican and LaSalle, whether it's play the private schools in mass or create a smaller upper tier D1, or do you think this is the best way to allow other D1 teams, because there are now 2 Super Bowls, for the public D1 schools to be champions?
Yeah, I think there were 2, as I mentioned in the column, there were 2 options, and they looked at both options, and making it a smaller Division I with kind of a Super 5, maybe the 3 or 4 teams that had the best records overall. That created some scheduling problems, and it's in football, unlike in hockey, it's not as easy for a Rhode Island private school team to schedule 3 games, 4 games against Massachusetts teams, out-of-state teams. So I think they were trying to present, look, LaSalle and Henrican, in reality, that they're excellent programs. What are we going to do to try and make it competitive for everybody else?
Do you think a Division I team that loses in the semifinal and then wins the, I guess they're calling it the Division I Super Bowl, the main one would be the state championship Super Bowl, are they still going to feel like they're state champions, or is there an asterisk there, or what do you make of it?
Well, yeah, I mean, there'll be an asterisk, whatever you want to call it. There's that whole thought process. But again, as I said, LaSalle and Henrican were the elephants in the room. Everybody knew that. So they said, we'll create a situation where everybody else is kind of we'll have one shot at them. And as I said in the story, hey, if one of the public schools upsets them in the semifinals, and that makes for an even more interesting story.
Yeah, it's definitely built for Henrican and LaSalle to meet in the championship every year. There's no reason to believe they won't be able to stay on top. All right, teams that maybe don't belong in D1. So 5 teams have moved up to D1. You have a Woonsocket, a Rogers, a Central, a St. Ray's. Any of these schools maybe questioning why they're in D1 at this point?
I would think, as I mentioned in the column, I think Rogers might seriously question. I mean, they're a small school now. I know people look back at the old tradition and history, but it's not. They're a small school, 300 boys. Frankie Newsom, the coach, does a great job. But because of that outstanding record, I think they were, in the formula they used, they were pushed up to 1. And I'm sure Frankie's told me this in the past, we are now a Division II. We're a Division III school enrollment-wise. We're a Division II school. We're willing to play 2, but I'm not sure if they would necessarily want to play 1. Woonsocket is a city school. They had a couple of great years before. They've had last 2 years. They've only won a combined total of 3 games. I'm sure they may question it a little bit, but they're a large school. I think in the formula that probably worked against them.
Similarly, some teams in Division II, success or enrollment-wise, that could be D1. You think about a North Kingstown, a Moses Brown. Any teams in D2 that could have been in the discussion for D1 that aren't?
Oh, sure. Everybody's talking about Moses Brown. They were undefeated the last 2 years, and they won 2 straight state Division II championships, undefeated. A lot of people were saying, well, why weren't they made to go to 1? Why didn't they go to 1? That, in the formula, because of their small enrollment, I'm sure they did not figure in the top 14. That becomes a school decision. That the league doesn't force them to do it. And they could have opted up, and if somebody in the top in those 14 wanted to drop down, they could have. But I understand they didn't opt up. So, the formula worked out because of their enrollment that they're in 2.
Now, Division 3 and 4 kind of combining into what now is just Division 3. Do you think there'll be some good competition, or do you think the Division 4 teams are going to lag behind?
No, I think it's pretty equal. A couple of the teams that are in 4 obviously are going to stand out. Fonagansett, Smithfield, that's done well in 4, and they're in 3 now. East Greenwich, who was in Division 3, won the Division 3 title last year. They've moved up to Division 2. They're at Division 3 enrollment-wise, but they said, we know we're going to 2. Our record proves we should be in 2. So they will play 2. I think those 2 divisions within the will be strong. Somebody's always going to come out and have a good year. But I think that the competition is pretty. I think Division 1 will be good competition. It'll be interesting competition.
Right, and everyone will seemingly have a better record when you say they only have to play Hendricken or LaSalle once each. All right, from an objective perspective, was this a good move for RIIL?
I think it was the only move that they could do. As I said in the column, some fans say, "Oh, you got to kick Hendricken and LaSalle." That's not going to happen. They've been part of the league since the first day the league started. So, and Hendricken since 1959. That's not going to. So you have that reality. Hendricken and LaSalle have great programs. They're going to stay good. They have excellent coaching staffs. Both head coaches do great jobs. Everybody loves to be with a winner. They have the geographic advantage where they can draw from any place. So I can't see them going down. So they said that's the reality. They're a reality. How are we going to make it competitive for everybody else?
All right, John Gilooly, good stuff. Read him in the Providence Journal and at ProJo.com. And we can't wait for football season now. There's some more talking points. The fall just around the corner. All right, thanks so much.
Thanks,